the Huddle with your host, Charles Brodge Ritchie, here on the Mad Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Rooney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker,
And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this edition here of the Mad Steel Podcast. With me, Charles Brodge Ritchie, here as we get a little closer, less than a few hours away, as Pittsburgh Steelers will be visiting against Arizona, take on the Cardinals later on this afternoon. And the Steelers try to keep themselves in better positioning for their playoff wildcard hopes right now in the AFC. And before we get started, I just want to give you guys a few little updates here on the scoreboard that's happening around the league currently as we speak. Pretty much we got a couple of scores in at halftime with a key one, which still has some slim hopes for the division, believe it or not. The Ravens were actually up 10-6 on the Bills at New Era Field. The difference in this ball game being so far is that the Ravens have been the only one to score in the red zone as they go 1 for 2. Bills are 0 for 1. Both teams have turned the ball over at least once so far, so they're even in the turnover ratio. So if the Steelers are able to have any hopes, remember this week the Ravens they're facing the Bills. Then the following week after that, the Ravens their next matchup after that will be hosting New York Jets. So I'm not. It's still highly possible that they could lose 2 in a row, or maybe 2 out of their next 3 games. Remember, they still got one more game to go in Cleveland. I'm not saying the Browns are going to sweep them, but the Browns, I mean, at this point in time, a lot of people are thinking their season is lost. And I get the feeling, too, that last week they pretty much ended any hopes. But mathematically, they're still somewhat in this thing, and they may still have something they want to play for. I mean, for a team for the last quarter century and being back in Cleveland for the last 20 years, there's still a lot of bad blood with the Ravens franchise. Remember, too, you got to remember, I mean, the Browns, who almost moved their franchise to Baltimore, their whole team actually just ended up surrounding their team, their players, and they had to come back as a new expansion team a few years later. There's been a lot of stuff right there that's been controversial over the year. And just almost seems like, you know what? I mean, it's like they had their Super Bowl last week against the Steelers, which they did not win. But at the same time, too, I do look at it, too. It's like still a little pent-up emotion. And for a team that's trying to establish a culture, I mean, granted, it's still losing so far. But, I mean, it's in a better direction than what it has been for the time being and what a lot of people could expect. I will say this right now. I mean, the Steelers right now, I mean, you got a little interesting contest here with the Cardinals. Just to recap on the AFC wildcard standings, here's how it lines up right now. So you got the Buffalo Bills, only the number 5 seed. So either way, the Steelers are going to gain some ground on somebody as long as they handle their business today, getting a victory against the Arizona Cardinals. You can either gain a game on the Ravens and pull within 2 games of the AFC North, and hopefully they could lose one more. If you go into that final week of the season in Baltimore with a game out, Steelers could still overtake them in the division with divisional losses. I mean, when you got the Ravens who only lost basically one game so far, that has been to the Browns. They have beaten everybody else. I mean, that is still very key, I mean, if you ask me. So let's keep that in mind. So either way, then you got the Bills right now. I mean, if they do go on to lose to the Ravens team, who is trailing 10-6 at the halftime, I mean, you could gain a game up on the Bills, and you could probably go head-to-head next week, Sunday Night Football, that game, which has been flexed, and you can actually beat them in a tiebreaker possibly. And right now, just give you a little scoreboard update right now, as it has the Ravens have gone up 17-6, as Lamar Jackson has gotten 2 touchdowns for the game right now at this point in time. And right now, it's not really looking too good for the Bills, who are trailing by 11 points. And the last touchdown that was scored, which put them up to 17-6, Mark Ingram, he right here on the it was a deep left pass to Hurst for 61-yard touchdown, and that's where we stand at right now, 76, Baltimore over the Bills. And then also too, you got another key implication game later on today too. I mean, the Steelers, who could still use some help, I mean, in the wild card, they're still tied with the Titans right now. I mean, at this time, they are 7-5 as well. So if the Titans could lose to the Raiders today, they'll gain at least a separation on the Titans. And we'll see how that continues to unfold right there, and see how that continues to progress. But I mean, other than that, that's what you got to really pay attention for here, too. And my point that I was fumbling along last week, my only concern is right now, like I said, if the Texans are able to lose this game this week to the Broncos, then you got a head-to-head matchup with the Titans. Let's say if the Titans do beat the Raiders, and then they beat the Texans, they could knock out the Texans temporarily out of first place in the division, which could temporarily bump the Steelers out of their 6th spot. But then again, it may not even matter, because if the Bills do lose this game today and the Steelers are able to win against the Bills, they could get into that number 5 seed, that number 5 or number 6 seed. So that's what we got to pay attention to here for right now. Again, the number that we reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie. You can also check me out on my Instagram, which is streaming live, Men of Steel Nation. Of course, my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast. Now, I'm going to just make this one a little short. Once again, like I said, I will definitely get back to my normal full 30-minute coverage like I usually do. I actually got to get going right now. I'm getting ready to check out and see the game. But let's get ready to go breaking some keys to the game for this game, as the Steelers, which, by the way, are going to be taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Like I mentioned, they're going to be in Arizona today, which is going to be at the State Farm Stadium. And the Steelers all-time against the Cardinals, let's not forget, going into their matchup, playing in Phoenix. Well, right now they lead the all-time series right now, 33-23-3. And right now against the Arizona Cardinals, since playing in that new stadium in Arizona, they're 1-1 so far. So this will be their first time back since 2011. So the very first key of the game, attack, Kyler Murray. The Cardinals so far up to this point have surrendered 42 sacks in all Murray starts, 5th most in the NFL. So that's going to be a huge key right there. If you're going to look at this way from that point, the Steelers, who actually got 43 sacks, which are currently 3rd in the league. So you got to think right now, a guy like Kyler Murray, who's doing a phenomenal job of taking care of the ball on turnovers right now. They are 31st in taking care of the balls. They surrender the ball 3 times, while the Steelers are 12th with 19. So that's a big reason why. So you want to try and aggravate that offensive line. You want to harass them throughout the day, and we'll see how that goes for the time being. And also, too, we just got some word in right now. There's going to be some inactives for today's contest, and I'm going to give you that right now. As a matter of fact, it's just breaking from the Steelers' website. As we take a look at it, the Steelers will be having, as we already know, 2 of their starters inactive, which, of course, as we know, Juju Smith-Schuster dealing with the knee injury, James Conner with the shoulder. They are week to week as they are concerned. But I mean, other than that, that's your only two stars you got to worry about today. The other inactives include backups, quarterback Paxton Lynch, cornerback Ari Burns, and then you got two-star Skipper, your linebacker, Chuks Okorafor as your offensive lineman, and tight end Zach Gentry. So those are your inactives for today. And let's go key number 2 for today's contest. Don't start off slow and careless by giving up the ball. Steelers are throwing the ball 19 times, which ranks 12th, and Steelers are 4-3 so far when giving up the first points of the game. That is a big key, and we've seen how important it is. I mean, being 4-3, last time they lost game when they were behind, it was to the Cleveland Browns. I think they were down like about 14-0 at halftime. So you got to be able to play smart and not careless with the ball. And then last but not least, key number 3, they're going to have to feed Bryce Snow the ball, I think, for the majority of this game. Wherever he gets the bulk of the snaps throughout the season, which he's happened to have twice, where he shared one time with James Conner on Sunday Night Football when they beat the Chargers. And, of course, the last one against the Bengals in Cincinnati, 2-0 when he gets the bulk or share of the snaps. So those are my keys to that game right there as we take a look at it. Hopefully, it'll definitely be some good news for today's contest. Steelers right now, I mean, you're definitely looking for a positioning right now. But like I said, the crazy thing in all this, you can win 2 in a row. And depending on what happens with the AFC South, you could possibly get bumped out for the time being in the wild card. The Texans would drop down. It's mainly because they have a better AFC common games record versus the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken. And that'd be the reason why, even though they do not face head-to-head, that's one of the tiebreakers in that scenario, because the Texans are 3-2 and the Steelers are 2-2. That's where you got to look out for, and that's where we got to keep an eye on it right now. So that's the only reason why. But they probably more than likely be battling for that number 5 wildcard seed, which is more than likely to happen if the Bills do lose today and the Steelers do win. And we'll see where it goes from there. But real quickly, before we get out here, I do want to share some thoughts right now. I was watching the NFL 100, and I don't know about any of you guys here, but I was thinking about wearing a jersey, and I was calling in on the Bob Pompiani show on 93.7 The Fan yesterday, and disappointed like a lot of Steelers fans, not seeing a guy like Troy Polamalu, but not really too surprised either at the same time. Troy Polamalu not making it in there on the NFL 100 team as far as safeties. I mean, yeah, all the guys that are on that team for the 100 team, I think it's just a little bit ridiculous. But at the same time, too, remember, you are talking about 100 years of football. So it's not like you're talking about like the last 50 years. I mean, maybe make a little bit of a stronger case. But here's all the guys you got in here. You got Jack Christensen of the Lions. He wasn't the first ballot Hall of Famer, but the rest of these guys like Ken Houston, Riley Lott, Ed Reed, Emlyn Tunnell, and Larry Wilson all on here. I mean, Ed Reed, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's definitely a skilled safety and a better cover safety. But, I mean, you look at the position, especially a guy like Troy Polamalu plays. Yes, he was a lot more game-breaking, but I think Bob Pompiani made a fair point. Remember, when not everyone gets to see all these games once being split out through primetime coverage, or unless you got the Sunday ticket. So that's the thing to keep in mind right there. Not everybody got to see a lot of the amazing game-changing plays that Polamalu did where he was jumping over the line. But the point he also made, too, remember, when a lot of people are voting for these players in the Hall of Fame, is that they're looking at the All-Pro numbers. You got Ed Reed with 9 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pro, and while Polamalu is one behind each category with 8 Pro Bowls, 4-time All-Pro. So I want to leave you on this note right now before I get out of here. Do you feel like right now, fair or foul, that if he's not making it on the 100 team, more than likely he's going to have to wait to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? I'll get into that a little bit later. I got to take off right now, but hey, let's go get these Cardinals today. Let's keep the momentum going. It's pretty much the ball's in the Steelers' court right now, plus with some help, obviously. We'll wait and see. Again, it's Charles Prodigy Richie of the Mad Steel Podcast. Sign off. Again, you can hit me up on Twitter at Prodigy Richie, at Mad Steel CJR, and of course my Instagram and YouTube live streams, Mad Steel Nation, Mad Steel Podcast. So I always leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.